All right, I've got right at 11:32 Central, 12:32 Eastern. Welcome to the Team Huddle today. We've got some exciting things to share with all of you. And we're very privileged today to have Ken Burns, CEO of Wast Network. Ken, we just moved you up to CEO.
Thank you.
Ken is the one out there making things happen. So, you know, we can call him Chief Executive Officer. He's out there making things happen with Wast Network, and all kinds of exciting things are going on, and we want to share those with you in a bit. But before we do that, I want to cover the schedule with everyone here today for this week and the weeks to come. So if you got a pen and pad, write these down. We also will, of course, email you guys additional information, text you guys as need be. But I wanted to let you guys know the schedule. So first of all, for today we have at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. For those that are part of the Millionaire Mastermind, every single one of you is actually able to participate. And all you get to do to join I call it center line. So focusing on the mind, the body, focusing on your health and focusing on your finances. Today's topic is going to be how to education hack, how to really figure anything out as quickly as possible, and to learn the skill sets and the attributes that you need to have in order to succeed in any area of your life. That is going to be today, broadcast live. We had anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 people watch that every single week on Facebook Live and on Instagram. So all you have to do to be part of that is have an Instagram account, a Facebook account. Make sure on Facebook you like Corey Kepke Official. Again, Corey Kepke Official. If you know how to spell my name, check an email out. It's kind of funny because I do see some of you guys still email me after 4 or 5 years and still put a C in my name. So look up my name on my email and you can see how to spell it. Corey Kepke Official. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, which is my first and last name, Corey Kepke. And for those that are crazy enough not to be on any social media and put your head in the sand, we'll put that in the web office following the meeting here today. And also, we'll send a text broadcast out for you to join no matter where you're at. Also, at 4 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Eastern, those are part of the Zenergy Heat Team mandatory call today at 4 o'clock Eastern. And there'll be a dial-in at 5 o'clock Eastern, Eco BCG Heat Team. So 5 o'clock Eastern, Eco BCG, for those a part of that Heat Team, mandatory call. Then tomorrow, on Tuesday, 2 o'clock Eastern, for those that are coming with me to the Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within, the crazy ones willing to do the fire walk. That's going to be a prep call to get you set up. Make sure you're doing the homework ahead of that event to fully engage. That's at 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. It should be in your calendar already. And then at 3 o'clock Eastern, all of those who went all in and get the 500 qualified leads that we're going to be giving you, the 500 leads, we've got a kind of an understanding and a prep call for those a part of that at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Now, for tomorrow, if you happen to miss the all-in, for example, we're going to record all of these sessions, but you want to be there live so you can ask questions, all right? It's like the Team Huddle. You know, you do get a lot out of it if you're plugging in at all. You want to plug in no matter what if you can't be here live, but being here live allows you to participate and interact with us as well and ask your questions. So that's at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and then 3 o'clock tomorrow for the all-in. 2 o'clock for Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within prep call, and 3 o'clock Eastern for all-in. Also, Friday, March 1st, which is when all of the partners are flying into Omaha for our annual partner summit. So we have our Energy Network Partner Summit, which is a once-a-year event that we do the first quarter, and that is going to be the week of March, end of February, 1st of March. And so on March 1st, we're going to broadcast live to all of UIC. So we'll broadcast live with all the partners, and that's going to be at 12:30 Eastern time on Friday, March 1st. 12:30 to 1:30, block that full 1 hour out. I think I sent you guys a calendar invite to join that. So make sure that's in your calendar for Friday, the March 1st. And then Friday, March 1st as well, for those that are senior managers, we also have some new senior managers. There'll be live training with all of the partners. You do not want to miss this mandatory training. It's from 3 to 6 Eastern on Friday, March 1st. Again, all of this should already be in your calendars. If you're participating a part of this, it should be in your calendars. If for some reason it's not in your calendar, you didn't get the invite, and it's the first time you've heard about it, send an email to Bree, which is B Tielke, B as in Bravo, Tielke, at energynetwork.net. Again, BTIELKE at energynetwork.net. And we'll make sure that you're on getting the text messages, make sure you're actually getting the emails and the calendar invites for these events. So today I'm going to go back to one thing. Today, do not miss the Millionaire Mastermind is now called the Center Line, and that is broadcast live to the world on Facebook and on Instagram. And all you've got to do is like Corey Kepke Official on Facebook or Corey Kepke on Instagram and follow. And you'll make sure when you're on that page, you also get a text message letting you know to be part of that. Again, we've got 5,000 to 10,000 people every single week that are joining that. Then in August, right now, I'm not going to give you the exact dates because it matters on some pretty amazing things. We are going to have, you guys thought LeBlanc was amazing. Imagine spending half or a third of that and having even one step further. So for those of you that want to participate, I'm not going to tell you any more details. We're going to share that with you next Monday, working on some of the speakers coming in. You're going to have amazing speakers besides just you're going to have all kinds of amazing entertainment. It's going to be something for you and your spouse. Is going to cover the corporate training event for those that need to get certified yet. Also, those that already are certified, we're taking it to the next level. You guys are going to love this event. You're not going to want to miss it. For right now, don't book anything, any family trips, even keep your kids out of school if you have to. But in the month of August, keep the month of August open. I'll give you the exact dates next week. All right, just trust me, it's going to be amazing. Do not miss the team huddle next Monday. We're going to announce it next Monday and allow all of you guys to participate in that event. And we're also going to do an amazing promotion to all of you who have been loyal and part of Energy Network as we build out our new next phase of our IC team and allow you guys to participate in all of the leads those new ICs are going to generate. We're going to bring in at least 500 new ICs by the month of August. And the event's going to have 600 to 700 people at the event that we're going to do in August. You want to be a part of that, and we're going to find a way to subsidize all of you who are been here for a long time and that are veterans here with our organization to give you at least a third off of what it's going to cost. And we're going to add that in to the price point for all the new recruits that are going to see tremendous value in it. But you guys that have been with us and part of the past events, we're going to give you a short window of a month to lock in your ticket at a significantly cheaper price for you and your spouse. And then we're going to go ahead and release this to everyone else that's brand new as of the 1st of March. So exciting things next Monday. I'm not going to tell you more details. Just don't miss the next Monday's Team Huddle. So today we are privileged again to have a person that I met here, I think 2.5 years ago, Ken.
All right.
It seems like about 2.5 years ago, and it's focusing on a division that I've always known there's tremendous value in, but never really knew enough to tap into it. And so initially it started out as a partnership agreement with Ken and his company in order to build out our waste division and bring in interest. And as we started seeing this thing move and this machine grow, we decided to partner up. And actually Ken is exiting that company that he helped found so that he can help focus as a principal within Waste Network. So Ken, first of all, welcome to the video here with all the ICs. And let's start with this. Let's talk about some of the exciting things that are happening with Waste Network since the last time that we got you in front of all the ICs.
Thanks, Corey. So we're at a point now where we're getting accounts complete, that we're billing, getting positive feedback with the cost savings, that it's really worked, real savings, real service. And now we're getting to a point that those customers are having us do other accounts. So the sales process is going to get easier and easier for the ICs that got that first job. So even with some of John Weems' accounts, we've been successful in doing 1 or 2 accounts. They said, wow, that was great. Here's 5 more. So it's for John, it's real easy. It just snowballs real quick. And I think we have some accounts in Ohio that should start soon. We have an account in New York that's about to piggyback into 6 more operations. So that's the real thing that's going on right now is we're going to get into the snowball effect pretty quick here.
That's awesome, Ken. Let's talk about some actual success stories, because I know we have several ICs now that are getting you in the door with some very good companies. I know you're taking a family vacation and have decided to make that also, spend some time building the book of business for all of EN. Maybe share some of the success stories in the last 6 months that we've had with Waste Network.
The best success story is a company in Central Ohio that manufactures mini fridges for RV campers. And they had a monthly expense bill of $30,000 a month. They thought it was $20,000. Upon doing phase 1 of the audit and gathering the invoices and seeing what the customer's truly paying, turns out they're paying $30,000 a month. So long story short, they were paying $30,000 for $5,000 worth of trash. So they still don't believe it, but their last month cost was under $12,000. So we're still taking baby steps because the operation people in the plant think I'm crazy. So the data's still coming. There's still lots of proof. Well, the corporate office liked us so much, they immediately gave us 2 plants in Michigan, in my backyard. And one of the plants, we discovered right away that Waste Management was charging them for services not being done. So we got them $3,000 back right out of the chute. And immediately Waste Management dropped the price for new contracts. And that takes effect at the end of this month. So we're just waiting on the paperwork to be signed on that. So that one job the IC got, that generated, it's going to be over $10,000 in funds for us. It's a great account.
That's awesome.
More to come.
So Ken, let's talk a bit, because I personally don't feel that the ICs are picking up the heat as much as they should be with Waste Network. The thing is, in all these conversations about all the offerings that we have, which every single thing that we do all complements one another, and it allows you to get in the door and then build upon the different interests. But I will tell you that, in my opinion, waste is one of the easiest points of entry in conversation. It is a part of their line items, as part of their operational expenses, that a lot of them are not paying attention to, because it is a smaller, significantly lower line item than, for example, energy spend or other things that they're doing, other initiatives. And so typically they don't have somebody on hand, on staff, to handle their waste side. And so they just basically, they'll look at it, see if they recognize anything, but most of them are not waste experts the way Ken has been now for the last 30 years plus. So Ken, I guess, what are some of the things that you're seeing again? And as far as when you actually are getting on a call with one of the IC's potential clients, what kind of interest are we seeing?
Well, we're seeing plenty of interest. We don't get a lot of rejection. We don't get the response that this isn't a fit for us. What usually happens is your customer goes back to what they were doing and forget about trash again. The hardest challenge we all have is to keep your customer motivated to look at trash as a real means of generating cost savings. And it's even hard. We haven't done a lot of ICs calls. Most of the IC calls and partner calls have been with the same ICs. So, I challenge everybody, get out there and find a way to get your customer to think about trash for just 15 minutes, because they haven't. I mean, I've been doing this 20 plus years. We average 40% savings 95% of the time. It really works, but we got to get the customer to give us the opportunity, and that's the challenge. It truly is. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's only a 2% of their P&L cost. They don't have time for it. We just had a great call with operations guys at Susquehanna University in Pennsylvania. That guy is one of 3 people trying to run the operation. That meeting started off perfect. He goes, Ken, I don't have the time for this. Then we had a great talk. He was more excited about trash than I am. So, I mean, it was a great call, and I expect to have that deal signed any day now. I hope. They keep getting snow in Pennsylvania, so I'm sure that's our delay.
Thanks, Ken. So, when we first started together a couple of years ago, you were saying that, we're seeing companies, we guarantee, 10% savings, but then we're seeing companies that are getting 25, 35, 45% savings. And that's actually why, in some cases, as Ken said, they don't believe him. He's sharing the savings and what we're seeing, and they're thinking something wrong here. So what again do we see? And again, I'm saying this because repetition is the mother of skill. Some of the ICs know what waste is all about, but I don't think a lot of them really understand how these companies are. I guess I'll use the word getting hosed with their waste contracts. What are some of the things that you're seeing out there that haulers are doing, or that their current waste contract that's causing them? Because people, I don't think, understand. I've got a waste contract, so I should have a set number I'm agreeing to. How do those waste contracts look, and how are the haulers really, in some cases, hosing the client?
Great question, and here's a good example. Your customer signed a contract with Waste Management back in 2009. And they're doing the same thing every month. They get a bill every month, no questions asked. It's supposed to be a fixed cost. But here's what the hauler does, and this is what Waste Management does very well. They'll quote you $250 for the service you think you need. And then it says on the contract, plus fuel, plus environmental fees, plus now the new one's an RCR fee. It's a resource recovery fee. And that's another 32%. They quoted your customer $250. Your invoice is never $250. The invoice is $250 plus 32% more. And I just saw that on the contract offer the other day. So we got to cross those things out, and they don't quote what they're going to charge your customer. So anytime your customer then dealt with a dumpster too full, the drivers have a camera, they take a picture of it, and then it gets to sales. Salesperson goes back in there and says, we need to add service to your agreement. We need to add a dumpster, add a pickup day, just because one time your dumpster was overfilling. So that's where we fix all that. We know how to fix that. It doesn't matter if there's a contract. The contract also says we can change service whenever we have to, whenever we need to. So the only
we need to adopt that in our contracts, Ken. That sounds like a great contract.
You like that? Whenever they want, they can. All the hauler wants is to be the hauler. We'll pick the proper service level, and that's what your customers don't understand. And that's always the first objection, right? Oh, sorry, we have a contract. What can you do? That's okay. We'll make sure that contract doesn't keep renewing on your customer every 3 years. And that's the other cardinal sin. These are evergreen contracts that you can't get out of, and we have a process to make sure we get your customer out of that contract. So just in case it's not in your customer's best interest.
So I think that's the great thing to understand, is that these clients don't realize in many cases that they are overpaying. And it's just like when people put their money into a 401k, for example, and they don't know all the additional fees that are down in there. So they think they're paying 1% or whatever the number is, and they don't realize all the additional fees. And that's what's happening with waste contracts, is that they quote you a number, as Ken said, but then they're throwing all these additional things that no one really understands or even knows what they are. But the great thing is you go to a client, and that is the biggest objection. Every IC will tell you that's doing waste. The biggest objection they get is, I'm already under a contract. I'm already working with ABC Hauler. And the answer to that, or the rebuttal to that, is the word great. Great. That's the best thing about it, is you already have a contract in play. Our job is not to change your hauler. Our job is to go in and get the best possible rates you can within the contract you have with that hauler. And so that's what you have to learn these things that come back at them. But it's not that challenging. I mean, let me say this: if you can't sell waste, you got something wrong. Because waste to me is, if I was out there in the trenches, and I actually wish I could, or should start to the time to do that. This to me is an easy point of entry. That's why Eric chose to step things up. And Eric, actually, by the way, for those that don't know, Eric is the ambassador for waste. He's working directly with Ken and with Mo on a weekly basis, daily basis, and his job is to be the liaison for all of Energy Network with Waste Network, with Ken. And trust me, the ICs that have gone out there, you look at John's income streams, and you say, well, John's doing a phenomenal job. What John has done an amazing job with is to bring in waste to all of his clients. Let me just say this. If one of the largest private equity groups in the country is utilizing Ken and Waste Network, it should tell you something. And what was amazing is, and John, John was there, and the Unified team, we were sitting down with in front of their procurement managers and people that were the CEOs, usually not CEOs, the procurement managers or VPs, some cases presidents of some of these large companies that are in the portfolio of one of the largest private equity groups in the country. And they were pulling it out of us, meaning we were talking about these different things. Let's talk about waste and what Waste Network has done. We utilize Waste Network. These guys love it. I mean, imagine if you were a client, for example, and you have, let's say, 57 locations. You have 57 different, in some cases, contracts. You have all these different bills that you need to validate they're doing what they should be doing, and then paying them. What if you didn't have to deal with any of that stuff? All you did is knew that Waste Network was on the job. Waste Network does this for a living. You may negotiate your waste contract once every 5 years. You don't even pay attention to it in many cases. And like Ken's told me in the past, a lot of these companies are crazy. They don't want to deal with it, so they're on direct billing. So then the hauler has the ability to keep adding these additional services and fees in that they don't even know are happening, because it's such a small line item, and yet this ends up being, it equates out to a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars, some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars that's going out in the trash because they're not paying attention to it, and no one's on the job taking care of it. And the great thing for you is you're able to get in the door. We can provide them. I mean, Ken, it's very rare, is it not? I mean, certain markets, yes, but it's very rare. We're not going to find a client that doesn't qualify, that we can't do something for. I mean, I think in the last, at least the ones that I've seen, I've talked to Mo and Eric about, I mean, if we bring in 10 potential opportunities and they're willing to give us a shot, I don't think there's been any of those that have signed the agreements that we haven't found savings for. Is that correct?
That's accurate. It's if they're in open competitive markets, it's going to be very easy for us. And that's a whole different conversation. We'll get into it now. But if you hear it's a franchise area, there's set pricing within that area, county or city, and we're restricted. We can't fix pricing issues, but we sure can fix service issues, and we do.
So let's open things up. We've got a few minutes here. What are some questions you guys have, or some of the objections you get? I mean, honestly, the objections I'm hearing are like 1 in 3. Either I'm too dumb to take a look at it, which we happy they don't say that, but they're just like, well, I don't know if I should. I don't know, whatever it might be. That's on them. We can't change that. Number 2 is I already have a hauler. Number 3, I already have a contract in place. Number 4 is going to cause challenges, for us. Maybe a bit of the unknown that we're going to handle their billing.
Can I have something?
What are some other ones, Ken, you can think of? And again, all of you guys that are watching this, any questions you guys have for Ken?
Well, we put a letter in your system to use that we did a lot of partner calls last year that never got to the closing state. I guarantee your customer hasn't done anything with waste. They didn't fix it themselves. They just moved on to something else. So the whole objective is to get back with those prospects and tell them that. Say, I know you haven't done anything with your trash. I know you haven't. You got to relook at this. You got to get them excited about it. And they're going to keep, the more they put it on the back burner, the happier the hauler is. See it every day.
And here's the great thing. Let me ask you this question. Think about this from a logical standpoint. Not only do you get in the door with the trash side of it, now we're in the door to additional offerings, procurements. Here's what we can do here. That's how John got into, and Eric's gotten into, and Ader's gotten into some of the largest private equity groups, is by going in and showing them one service offering, and then once there's interest, now bleeding that out in additional offerings. But secondarily, what do you think happens when those 3 years are up and they've had one company handle everything, one person to contact, one check to write, versus the 57 locations, checks to write, going online in some cases, sending a physical check in some cases, using a credit card in some cases. It's a nightmare, trust me. These guys do not like to have to do it. So imagine they've got a company like ours. We've now proven ourselves by getting them significant savings for the last 3 years.
Yep.
We've now gone in and made their job so much easier. They don't have to worry about it. What's going to happen whether they've got 3 years left, 2 years left, 5 years left in their waste contract? Who are they going to ask for guidance to look at their next waste contract? And then we simply go out and find the best solutions for them, whether it's their current hauler, we negotiate it. They know they've got to, keep it within the realm that we're willing to tolerate. The contract's going to look a lot cleaner because the contract, Ken's going to red line half this shit to make sure that it's what we want the client to sign. And then who are they going to go to? In that case, we go directly to these different haulers, get them to bid for that business. And then additionally, we then add our margin on top of it. So you know how we do electricity, natural gas procurement, that we're paid by the regional providers, the margin's added in there. In this case, the haulers simply bill us, and we then bill the client. And our margin's built into that, whatever we can tolerate, whatever the client can tolerate, and still get significant savings. But additional to that is as they open new locations, as they do additional things, as they grow, who are they going to go to? But also understand something. So let's say a certain market, this only gets better and better as Ken and us keep building this out more and more with Waste Network. So imagine a certain network. Let's say, Ken, pick a good market that we have a decent amount of clients into, or that you have a decent amount of clients into.
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. So now we have X number of clients in Dallas, Texas, right? When we go to a hauler, the bigger haulers in Dallas, Texas, who is going to negotiate better? Us, who number one, know the agreements, know what to ask for, or their individual location, or their 3 or 4 locations. And imagine as we grow, we've now got 50 locations, 100 locations, 1,000 locations. It becomes easier and easier and more profitable for us, but also for our clients. Just like electricity and natural gas, when we were doing, maybe bidding out 10 million kilowatt hours a year, or 20 million kilowatt hours a year our first year, we didn't have the same kind of leverage as we do now. We're bidding and getting bids on, in some cases, some of the bigger weeks, 500 million kilowatt hours a week and 1 million decks of natural gas per week. Who's going to get a better price point? And people start getting to know who we are, and they know what we're willing to tolerate, but more importantly, they want to keep getting our business. So this is the big picture we're building with Waste Network, and I can tell you that I'm so happy we have someone at the helm of this, like Ken and like Eric Lee, as a liaison and ambassador for Waste Network, as we build this out. I want you guys to see the big picture. This is crazy how excited I get about this focus and this division, but I'm so excited about it because I see so much tremendous value. We have the ability to service everyone now, which is the biggest challenge with Wast, is they already have contracts in place in many cases, up to 5 years. Well, we can go in and save almost every single client 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% on their Wast contract, and simply sharing half of that, whatever savings we get them for 3 years, is amazing. But the secondary piece of this is going in and actually handling their actual Wast contracts going forward. All right, so looking at some questions here. Sandy looks like it's on repeat here. So Joe's saying he's having a challenge getting people to have an interest in this. So Ken, if you were calling into a company, what are some of the hot buttons you would say? Who would you ask to talk to, first of all? And then what are some of the hot buttons that you would ask to get interest?
Well, the money people, this came up in a conversation the other day that because one of our targets is to only target people that spend over a couple $1,000s a month. And somebody asked, what if the customer doesn't know how much they spend? And my answer was, you're probably talking to the wrong person. So if you're talking to finance people, they're looking at P&L statements all the time. They know what their expenditure is, and so that's who you want to work with. And or if it's a medium-sized small business, you can work with the president of the company, and they'll put us in touch with the right people. To get them excited, you have to make them realize they're probably overpaying by 25-30%, and they can't tell it by looking at the invoices. They're not trash experts like we are. What we do,
Ken, what's a number that we can use conservatively to say, the clients that we talk to, we find that 90%, 80%, 82%, whatever the number is, make it an odd number, that we're seeing they're overpaying. What percentage of companies do you feel are overpaying?
95%. 95% of anybody around the country is overpaying. We're doing an apartment in Miami area right now, and it's in a franchise, so we have no control over costs. But I can tell you this much from what I've researched already: the unit's half full, so the compactor's being serviced too much. I think the vendor's overcharging what their franchise fee, what they're entitled to, because they're invoicing twice a month, and I think that fee is only supposed to be once a month collection. So they're double dipping on that. The compactor's over service. We cut back on service. They're going to save 50% without doing anything on price. So that's a perfect example.
That's great, Ken. So a couple of questions. One is, what markets typically that you know of have franchise restrictions?
Well, there's LA, Southern California has got a lot of restriction areas. There's some pockets in Florida. There's a half dozen pockets. Las Vegas is nothing but one Wast hauler 7 days a week. And that's really it. There's a lot in California. There's a lot in Florida. Most of the country is wide open. So it's easy to research. If you're about to call on somebody, you want to do additional research, go to the city webpage, look under public services, and you'll see that, Republic Wast has been rewarded all of our waste services for the city. You'll be able to tell if it's a franchise market. But again, don't shy away. If they're spending $30,000 a month, by God, let's go get them.
So Tom's asking, who would you say would be the biggest competitors to what we're doing? And I'm going to say this. There are other companies out there, I'm sure, that are focusing on the trash side of it, but most of them are very, very regional. And secondarily, very small mom-pop shops. And the kind of companies that we represent already that we get into, like the private equities, et cetera, are either case studies, the ones that we can name, or the people that we can talk about. No one else is going to compare with that. But more importantly, is what we're finding is that very few people have the kind of expertise that Ken has with going in. But what do you say let me say something else. What I gauge it upon is how many companies you're talking to have someone else handling this for them. And that's the question you want to ask yourself, because I'm not seeing it. ICs aren't telling me that. Those that actually are making a lot of sales with Wast Network don't hear that either. So I guess, Ken, what do you see as far as competitors that are out there and the differentiators?
Well, there isn't a lot of competition. There's not a lot of consultants that stuck with it as long as I have and made this work. The biggest competition is if you're talking to purchasing people, they want a hard number. What we're offering is not a hard number for our service. We're going to generate our own fee by reducing the vendor cost, and our fee comes out of that reduction. So if your procurement says, so you're going to charge me $100 a month, they can't get it. Procurement does not get it. So if you're talking to procurement and they're talking to a broker is going to give them a hard number. So we don't want to compete head to head with the broker. That's not what we do. If they insist on us going in that direction, we can work something out as a broker type arrangement. It all depends on the market. So yeah, there's not a lot of competition.
So someone asked the question in here, what if they're already using a consultant? Well, first of all, let me just share how this works. It doesn't matter what offering you're talking about. You don't ever want to badmouth someone else. This happens all the time, this conversation. I'm already working with another retail provider directly, or I'm already with energy. I'm already working with a broker or someone else. The reality is that number one, you don't want to downgrade anyone else in the market. Let them do that for you. The first question I always ask, so I'm already working with so-and-so, do you like them? Because it's amazing how many people come back and say, well, this is the challenge I've got, or yeah, he's a nice guy, but here's what I'm seeing, or whatever else. That's the first question. Now, if they're 100% happy with who they have, you coming in and saying, well, we're so much better and this and that isn't going to do it anyway. So I don't even think you really want to go down that path. I would say, are you happy with them? Are they doing a phenomenal job? And I appreciate how your pushback and what you're saying. But here's what I found is that some people are working with a broker. I'm not saying he's not a great broker. Maybe he is. We look at almost everything. We look at the price you're paying. We look at the, how many offering there. So what are they all looking at? Find out what are they, so dig in a little bit deeper. What are they all looking at with your trash? And find out the differentiators. Let them talk about the differentiators versus you trying to pitch it and trying to downgrade somebody else in our industry. Ken, other thoughts to that?
No, that's perfect. That's exactly right.
Do we have any specific special information to offer for evidently I need glasses? Facilities that handle medical waste, biohazard around recycling, i.e. the client is not receiving recycling credits currently, etc. That's a long question, Ken. I don't know. So do we have any special information, or do we have anything that we can? So can we handle medical waste, biohazard, recycling? What's some of the things that we can do?
Or we can handle whatever waste stream your customer wants us to handle. We get into a trap if they want us to focus on one problem they have. Like if you're dealing with a manufacturing plant, they got a lot of wood pallet problems. If we can't resolve that pallet problem, then they're not going to let us see anything else. So it's got to be all the whole program. And if we resolve the pallet program 6 months down the road, good for us and good for them. But yes, we handle all the recycling. That's that big account we're doing in Ohio. The next step is we're going to get them more rebate money for the bales of cardboard. The controller doesn't even realize they're getting paid for cardboard. So same thing actually with their Michigan plant. They're the recycler. I know the recycling business, and the guy comes to me with a 3-page email on why he's not paying for a complete truckload of baled cardboard, and we're actually getting about $400 a truckload going forward.
That's great. Brian asked a question about fixed locations. You don't want to look at hauling from oil websites, example, etc. First of all, I mean, it doesn't hurt to bring it up and let Ken look at any situation. Just like, for example, he mentioned some of the markets that are franchised, etc. It doesn't hurt to bring it up. Let Ken make the determination because he's the expert to see if there's opportunities there or not opportunities there. The other thing is I'm looking at some of the things here. Oh, Dennis had a great point. I love it. Dennis said, when you are asking questions, ask, when was the last time you've had a waste audit? I love that question.
Yep.
What you have to realize is this, and this is with every offering we do. The challenge you guys have that I had initially when I started with Energy Network is the fact that I got lost so much in the weeds. I think I had to have so much knowledge and understanding. Waste is so simple. You guys know that, I mean, could you guys not explain the basics that we just explained to you today on a Waste Network? You already have a waste contract, great. We're going to look at every other situation, make sure you're paying what you should be paying. We're going to find at least a 10% savings. Our average has been 25, 35, 40%, just depending on your situation. And they've got nothing to lose, as Eric said. We simply get paid our consulting fee, everything we do, we're not getting paid for. We're getting paid only if we find a savings for you. It's a win-win for you as a client. Remember this, you are a very, very, very high paid appointment setter. Your job is to get your senior manager initially in the door. They're going to know when appropriate to bring Eric and when to bring Ken into play. Don't try doing this on your own. Here's the question to you. You have to know enough to move the call forward. Get very, very good at your role. Initially, your only role, and then of course it's going to be account manager, following up, all those things later. But right now, if you're not getting anybody in the door, figure that part out. Figure out how to get a company in the door with your senior manager and then Eric and then Ken, so they can do their job. Because I promise you, no one's going to talk trash better than Ken. No one's going to talk trash better than Ken. Let him talk trash. He's very good at it. It makes him feel good about talking about trash.
Thanks, Corey.
Your thoughts? How long does an audit take is what Greg wants to know. I guess they came from Cynthia. How long does an audit take?
Yours is almost done, Cynthia, I swear. It'll actually be done this week, I promise. We're going to have two options for your customer to look at. They're both going to be good cost savings too. Now that we know unique situation that we're dealing with in a franchise market, both dumpsters are behind a locked door, so we can't dumpster dive. Do we really want to dumpster dive? So we're going to come up with a couple options that will streamline the cost and see if we can try it. So all we can do is try to reduce the cost, and if it doesn't work, we can tweak it. So I'll have that for you this week.
Jeff, the thing is, there's only a challenge with the form because people have a challenge with the overall thing. So don't get into the weeds. I mean, I would not, my opinion is don't even send the form. That's not your responsibility. You shouldn't even be sending anything out to the potential client. That should come from Ken, or Ken giving you authority, or Eric giving you authority to say, yes, go ahead and send that agreement. If they ask questions, to simply say, we simply share in the savings. That's all you should be saying in the conversation, is that our job is to audit your waste situation. We're not going to get any consulting fee or any fees for that. We're simply going to get paid if you decide to, if basically we find savings for you. If they keep asking questions, it's simply, listen, I can't go into the details. Let me go ahead and bring our expert in who can go into all of this with you. Perfect. Learn to deflect that. Learn how to give them just enough answer, but then move to the next. I'm sorry, on you, Ken. Sorry.
Perfect.
So answer them and move to the next. Don't get into it. Don't get in. If you get into it, guess what you become? Again, I tell you guys all the time. You become the expert. I see do this all the time. Is typically they do better when they know enough at a high level, and that's all they know, because then they have to play dumb, right? So it's simply, listen, I don't have the answers for that. I know we get paid a percentage of the savings. We're saving clients between 25 to 45%, depending on your situation. I can't determine that. Let me bring in my expert who can answer more questions for you. I'm sure you're going to have this question a lot more, Mr. Jones. So let's go ahead and bring our expert in who can, explain those things to you. Don't go so far down, because once you answer one question, guess what? Now you're the expert. They're going to ask you another. You answer that question now, and you start getting yourself down to this thing. And that's why the people that are the best at this, because here's what I see. You're really good when you don't know much. Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice any day. Know enough at the high level. This is one of the easiest products to understand. Know enough at a high level. Get the interest. Bring in the experts. Where I see ICs have a challenge is the more they know, now either A, they want to feel good about how important they are and how much they know, so they start talking about it. Just because you hear Eric talk about it or you hear Ken talk about it, they say things at a certain point for a reason. It's an art form. I mean, Ken's been doing this for 30 plus years. It's an art form for Ken. He knows when to bring something up, when to pivot, how to handle an objection, how to handle a question, how to bring in a reference. He'll know how to handle that. Just do your role and be very, very good at getting in the door. If you're having a challenge with getting in the door, either you're saying too much or you don't know how to pivot correctly, and get your senior manager on to help you to learn how to properly get in the door with a potential client. All right, we've got exactly 2 minutes, and I've got to jump because we get ready for my live broadcast to the world here with all of you guys. So other questions, comments? So Jeff had a problem after the form was delivered. And so the form was delivered. Have you then gotten Ken back on the phone or Eric back on the phone with them, Jeff? Some of them are going to have a challenge with it. But the whole point is that standard business procedures with what we do, especially when we're only getting paid based upon the savings, and they should understand that we're not going to go out and tell them all these things they should be fixing, and then they potentially go fix it on their own. We're going to go in and spend a lot of time and resources and money bringing Ken, his team in many cases, to dumpster dive, to look at their situation, to figure this out, to look over the contract. All we're saying is we're going to guarantee you a 10% savings. 10% is better than what you're getting now, which is 0% savings. And we're in many cases, almost every single case, we're saving 25, 35, 45%. I think we're good. Ken, so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all that you do. Again, Ken could be there sitting on the beach every single day with Nina, drinking whatever he drinks with an umbrella in it. But instead, he's enjoying himself. He loves this business like I love this business, like you should love this business, which is you have the flexibility to do this from really anywhere. But when Ken's going somewhere, he's meeting with a couple of ICs since he's already there that live there. Ken's spending time with clients. He's already spent time on the way down with clients, spending more time with clients. So Ken, I can't say how much we appreciate you, first of all. And second of all, we're willing to beef this thing up as many as we have to bring in to handle doing what Ken is doing. But your job and your role is to get to first base. If you guys can get to first base, we can help you take it from there. Any other final comments, Ken?
No, perfect. Appreciate everybody too. And I can't wait We got to ramp her up this year. We're ready for next home run. They're out there. You just got to find them. There's people spending $30,000 for $5,000 worth of trash. Got to find them.
I know most of you don't like residual income, but even $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, will that change your life? Most of you would say yes. And it's out there. And it's a win-win. You're not going out there and trying to sell this glass to them, something they may not ever use or want. We're simply saying you're already paying money for this. We can find a way to get it to you. You're paying them every single month for it. We can find a way that you're going to save money. And all we're asking for our services is to put our money where our mouth is. And we're going to go out and show you savings. And we simply put that savings for 3 years. And I think it's a win-win. I've never heard of more of a win-win, Ken. So thanks for being the genius you are and for all the work that you do. I appreciate you.
I got work to do.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Don't miss the live broadcast, everyone, at 2 o'clock Eastern on Facebook and Instagram. Bye, everybody.